Yeah. So the great thing about writing a second season of any show really is that you're coming into this and you have the feedback from audiences and critics about season one. So how did you approach season two with this in mind?
It's a good question. If I remember correctly, we actually started our writers room for season two before season one came out. Like we started maybe like 6 weeks early. It was kind of a like, just in case the show does well, let's get a jump on it. And so it was a kind of a fascinating month or so because we were telling the story of season two and starting to spin those threads and taking all those aspects of it. And I still sort of had a sense of like, do you think people are going to like this show? Do you think people are going to watch it? And then obviously it came out and did really well. And I think thankfully it allowed us to sort of just lay the bedrock of like what the show wanted to be and not be sort of too influenced by the outside noise. And I think that continued all the way through. But it was a great experience. And one of the great benefits of Netflix and how things roll is you really do get a sense of like what audiences responded to. And you can sort of, factor that in as you're playing along and telling the story and going like, oh yeah, this is something like the Bobby character was a total roll of the dice. Who knew if that was going to work? And suddenly you start to see people really relate to it. And you go, that's awesome. Let's play that up. And I love that. And it sounds like people do too. So that was a really a fun aspect of it.
Yeah. And it was so great you prepare ahead of time because the second season is amazing. And it speaks a lot about love and the things that we do for the people we love. And some people are better for it. Some people do horrible things because of love. Can you walk me through how the theme of love and the people we care for kind of lay the groundwork for this season?
Yeah. Good, really, very, very, very good question. I like when people everyone has good motivations for stuff. And I think that does guide everyone. Obviously guides, Gus and Jeopard and who he is, but even Abbott and Johnny and these characters that are, or Dr. Singh, it's like, how do you, there's a world where they could come off very arch or they could come off just as bad guys, but it's like you want to be able to put yourself in their shoes and understand sort of where they're coming from. And almost always it kind of comes back to that is like they're doing this out of love for family or for the world around them and the characters around them. I think also the fact that our story is so family based, that's a big part of it, because there are characters that are obviously literally family, and then there are characters that are, that sort of find their family as they go. And I think that links all of them. But I think, to me, a big part of that is really in the Birdie storyline too, where we sort of get a sense of, I don't know how far you got into the season, but in the back half of the season, when you get a sense of, kind of what fueled her and what fueled her decisions and the things that Gus sort of learns about sacrifice and all that. I think that was a big sort of driving thrust of the season for me.
Yeah. And it's such a coincidence that you were talking about Birdie because I've seen the entire season and it was so great how Birdie, even if she didn't know like all these characters, she is kind of the plot driver for all of their actions. So can you speak more on how she guides all these characters in their journeys this season?
Yeah. I really thought from the beginning, I thought that she was going to be in every episode. And I thought that was going to be the big part of it. And I really kind of thought like, that's going to be the rhythm of this story is that we're going to be telling that. And it just never found a way in, you'd constantly start to tell the story and go, this actually doesn't relate to what Gus is going through. And it just never quite worked. And we kept pushing it and we kept pushing it. And then we're like, see, episode 5 is going to be the big Birdie storyline. But you realize that, by the time we got to episode 7, we realized like, this is the time, this is really when we get to stop, kind of hit pause in the story and go like, let's understand sort of where we are and what got us to this point. And then that informs all the other little decisions along the way. So it sort of informed what we know about her in episode 3 and episode 2 and episode 1. And so it was one of those things where it was like, you have Amy Simons, who's just an incredible, incredible actress. And you're just going like, how do we challenge her? Like, how do we make her, have to step up to play this role. And I love how it came out, but it was all organic. It was like, you sort of learn like, I can only fit so much into the story. It kind of tells you where it wants to be.
Yeah. And it ended up being a great season. I hope there's more of it in season 3, and I have to wrap it up here, but thank you so much for speaking to me and good luck with the season 2.
Cool. Thank you very much.